Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is the latest in my Pride Month series of movie reviews. Throughout the entire month of June, we are celebrating Pride Month with film reviews for a variety of LGBTQIA themed films. And this week, we are discussing the film Closet Monster. And to help me discuss this indie film, I am joined by my good friend, Luke Hearfield. So, Luke, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Hey up guys! So celebrating Pride Month, myself and Larry from LC Screen Talk decided to collaborate again on another LGBTQ movie and review it together. He had some suggestions, but I was like, dude, I want to put makeup on, so we're going to review Closet Monster. I hope he likes it, because this is one of my favourite LGBTQ movies. So Larry, if you don't like this movie, then we're not friends. Just kidding. Not kidding. So yeah, no pressure. Closet Monster was released in 2015, and the story is centered around an 18-year-old boy called Oscar, played in this film by Connor Jessup. He's going through that confusing patch in life, trying to figure himself out. He wants to go to college in New York so he can hone his craft of special effects makeup. He's also figuring out his sexuality. He is gay, but he hasn't quite accepted it yet. He hasn't put a label on it. And part of the reason for that is because his father is slightly homophobic. And also, when Oscar was a young boy, he was actually a witness of a gay hate crime where another young gay boy was left paralyzed after an attack and also sodomized with this metal rod. And this trauma has sort of followed Oscar into his adolescence. Anyway, this trauma metastasizes into internalized homophobia and has an impact on Oscar as he goes through sexual awakening, sexual development, and starts desiring the same sex. It sort of presents itself as this surreal, internalized, demonic, guttural feeling that Oscar is trying to come to terms with and is wrestling with. It's kind of where the film gets its title from, Closet Monster. Something internal inside him, but there's also external figures in Oscar's life which also could be interpreted as the monsters. The main one being his slightly homophobic dad. As an openly gay man, there is something about Closet Monster which I really connected with. If Stephen Dunn is channeling his own experiences of sexual identity and sexual awakening into Closet Monster, then he's done a really wonderful job of capturing that inner turmoil that a lot of gay kids struggle with. That being that when you're a kid, you do often hear a lot of anti-gay slurs or just negative connotations when it comes to being gay. All those negative messages about being gay can have this effect on you when you start to process the fact that you're gay. It can really put you in the closet even deeper because you've been programmed to think your whole life that gay is wrong. This film beautifully captures that with Oscar's journey. One thing that I really love is that Oscar has a hamster which talks to him. I mean, it doesn't really talk to him, it's just his inner monologue being projected onto the hamster. It's really just a coping mechanism. But his hamster is called Buffy, which is named after Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, this might sound silly, but I really liked that little touch because as a kid, I religiously watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was my favorite TV show. It was also one of the first mainstream TV shows to feature an LGBTQ couple. There was a lesbian relationship with Willow and Tara. But the reason I love that show is because I really identified with it, because it was all about these kids at high school that didn't quite fit in. They were a little bit alienated. They were the weird ones, the uncool ones, but together they made the Scooby Gang and they all kind of belonged. I really identified with that because I was the weird kid at school. And the fact that Stephen Dunn named a character after Buffy the Vampire Slayer just really connected with me on an even more subtextual level about what that character name actually signifies. And what I really admire about Closet Monster is that for a first-time feature, Stephen Dunn takes some bold creative choices with this film. There's a lot of subtextual imagery as well as body horror. He takes a lot of risks that not a lot of first-time filmmakers would dare to take. I do think at times it was a little bit overly embellished, stylistically speaking. Like there's a scene towards the end of the film which is pretty much all in slow-mo, and it just feels very drawn out. Like it didn't all need to be in slow-mo. It kind of feels a little bit hokey after a while. However, I do admire the risks that he took to express his artistic vision. It feels very personal, this film. It's quite dark and twisted, but at the same time, it's very beautiful because Stephen Dunn is allowing his inner vulnerabilities to be exposed, and I admire that. The performances are all terrific, particularly Connor Jessup as the protagonist Oscar. It's a subdued performance, but he manages to capture that inner conflict of Oscar in small but powerful moments, like a lingering glance at his co-worker that he's attracted to called Wilder, who's played by, I'm going to butcher his name up, it's Alyosha Schneider. God, I hope I said that right. But yeah, he's also fantastic too. They have a really nice chemistry between the two of them. My suspicion is that Stephen Dunn was a fan of the poet Oscar Wilde, who was gay, and that's why he's named his two semi-romantic leads, Oscar and Wilder. They have a lovely dynamic, the two of them. Is it friendship? Is it flirtation? You're not quite sure, but it definitely has a spark to it, and it does draw you in. There's one scene where they share a bed, and honey, God, the anticipation. Woo! Calm down, Luke. Aaron Abrams is magnificent as Oscar's dad, Peter. What I love about his performance is that he manages to bring so many dimensions to him, because he's not just an asshole father figure that you're supposed to hate. He's just an everyday dad struggling to cope and also understand his son, who's a bit different from him. There are times where you really like him, like the opening scene of this film where he tucks Oscar into bed and gives him a dream by blowing up this balloon and on his head. It's really cute. There are times where you sympathize with him, and there are times where you wouldn't want to be around him. But there's so much humanity on display, and it's not just Oscar that's wrestling with his inner monster. The dad has his own internal problems that he's dealing with as well. In the end, guys, I'm a big fan of Closet Monster because it's not your typical coming-of-age gay film. It's more visceral, and it's got some guts, this film. It's very surreal and dark, which I like. It sort of taps into something almost psychological and nightmarish, and I like that. It's not overly romanticized, this film. There is romance in it, but it's more about exploring that inner turmoil of coming to terms with your sexual identity, and it does it in a really bold and beautiful way. So it's time to ask those questions. Would I recommend it or skip it? I'm definitely going to recommend this one. This film needs to be seen by more people. It's one of those LGBTQ films that's very effective, but it's kind of flown under the radar. So yeah, more people need to check it out. It's a fantastic film. And question number 2, what score do I give it out of 10? I'm going to give Stephen Dunn's Closet Monster a score of 8 out of 10. But there we go, guys. Those are my thoughts on Closet Monster. Back to you, Larry.
Thank you so much, Luke, for coming on and being a part of another set of Pride movie reviews. I really appreciate you taking your time out, coming on and discussing and introducing me to Closet Monster. I really appreciate it. Everyone, if you are not already, make sure that you head on over to Luke's channel, hit that subscribe button. He has amazing movie reviews, including the latest in new releases, all the way back to some retro series. And make sure that you check out his top 100 films of the 2010s. He has wonderful content with really great insight and commentary, so I know you're going to love it. So this is my attempt at like a bisexual spin on that iconic square makeup from the film and the poster. I don't know. But anyway, here we are talking about Closet Monster. Now I must admit, not only had I never seen this film before getting ready for this review, I never even heard of it. Luke had me digging down into the depths of the LGBTQIA indies to get to Closet Monster. Well, what did I think? Overall, I enjoyed it. What I really enjoyed was the symbolism throughout the film. How microaggressions thrown out throughout your childhood and as you're growing up can really affect kids and budding adults as we grow into our own sexuality, as we grow into our own identity. And certainly that is a big factor in many cases for LGBTQIA youth as we come to realize who we are and try to get comfortable within our identity and our skin. Sometimes it's so hard to overcome those microaggressions that have built up and like chipped away at your own esteem for pretty much your entire life. I also really enjoyed the kind of metaphor that goes along with this really vivid imagery of a hate crime that is witnessed in the film and how that continually plays a factor as we move along through the movie. Plus, we have the idea of home life and parenthood, how that affects you just growing up period, and what type of toll that further takes on adolescents and children finding their identity, whatever that identity may come to be. This film takes us into really fantastical areas that I was not anticipating, at least not in this way. I thought maybe there would be some sort of manifestation of an actual monster, Babadook style. But instead, they manifest that through really kind of grim horror style imagery. We get like vomiting of nails, we get things moving under the skin, we get impalements. I mean, there's some horror imagery going on in this film that I wasn't really anticipating. Then we have this mythical idea of basically a fairy hamster guardian. This little hamster named Buffy, who is a guiding light and voice for our main protagonist to bounce off of. And at first, I really was like, what in the world is going on? I did not like this hamster subplot, but I have to admit, it got to me by the end, and I really, as an animal lover, what can I do? I ended up loving this little hamster. And I also really enjoy how this film isn't afraid to tackle the idea that things don't always work out great, whatever it might be. College, relationship with your parents, career, sexuality, friendships. But you just have to kind of deal with what's thrown at you. And that's a hard lesson, I think, even for adults to kind of take in. And it was handled well here. Now, I do think the film gets a bit carried away in some of the indie stylisms, if you will. Also, trigger warning, there's a sexual assault that kind of takes place in the film that is difficult to watch, so just be aware. And our lead performance is very subdued, and at times I think maybe a bit too subdued. But overall, I do think it is a strong film. It certainly is a unique film that takes different approaches to deal with these difficult topics and issues. And while I don't think it always sticks the landing on how it handles a lot of these darker, hard issues, I do think it succeeds in telling the story that it aims to tell. So that is my review of Closet Monster, as well as Luke Hearfield's review of the film. Once again, make sure that you are going down to the description below, finding Luke's channel as well as his Instagram and Twitter. Follow him, and definitely make sure to show him some pride love and subscribe to the channel. Have any of you seen or heard of Closet Monster? If you have, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, or you can hit either one of us up on Twitter. And if you did enjoy this review, make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!